So my partner and I bought this almost 30 years ago.
Oh, can we please raise a glass to Yahoo?
Yeah.
To the memory of Yahoo? Sweet. Okay.
I farmed. Well, we farmed except that she had a job. I had an organic market garden, went to the farmers markets, had goats, made cheese, had chickens, had sold eggs and all that kind of stuff through the 80s and 90s. From the very beginning, we intended to make it a community. My fantasy was really every year I had apprentices, and we got this big old farmhouse because apprentices lived in the house also. To have room for others to live here. And my fantasy was the apprentices would work as an apprentice for a year, love it, want to become partners, farm partners, and stay. And then next year we'd have another apprentice, and that's how we would grow. My fantasy was also initially to have this as a community house, and everybody build just small cabin, personal space places. I'd have all the functioning stuff here, like the kitchen, although, and kind of had an idea of a guideline to nothing bigger than a pickup truck to go into the woods. So if anybody wanted to build, it really had to, they could not have a Lowe's truck delivery all the materials, or a well driller come out there, or a cement truck come out there. So, but, in the field could be whatever. That, and to own the land altogether, or to put it in a land trust or some other entity. So that was the fantasy in the beginning. And it was during a period of time when lots of women were traveling and looking at land. Land Dykes was very active. And, so lots of visitors, lots of women coming to visit. Lots of women came to live here for various periods of time, from 3 months to more than a year or something. But found that most women, now we didn't have any money, we had this land, and we were very lucky to get I always called it the last great land deal. And it was also very timely because I had been buying into another woman's farm in Caswell County, and when we split up, she bought me out. So I had some down payment, and my parents also had just died, so I had another $10,000. It wasn't much, but it was a down payment. Otherwise, we would have never been able to buy it. But we didn't have money. We had the land. We wanted to share it. We wanted this, what I was just describing to you. But we needed for women to buy a share, buy into it, but still own it as an entity. What we found was that women who wanted to live that kind of lifestyle did not have the money, and just wanted to be able to move on to the land and be provided for. And the women who did have the money really needed the security of a deed, which I can totally understand. So at any rate, that didn't happen, and then a time came when I needed some money. My partner died, as you gathered. I had cancer. I needed some money to pay my medical bills. I didn't have any money. I had land, so I needed to sell it. Beth and Doreen had been here for a year, in 95, 96, I think it was. And they wanted to build a community here, but they wanted to, when it kind of well, can you just sell us 5 acres and let's build community that way? And I really wasn't into it at the time. But when I needed to sell land, because I didn't have any money, and they were looking for a piece of land to do their kind of community. And I got an email from them saying that they had a contract, and the email saying the contract had fallen through. So I immediately got on the phone. Said, would you like to buy 5 acres? Because I really only needed to sell 5 acres. They immediately came up here. They were in Florida. And we started talking, and we made this. So that was in 2000. And that's how this came about. They bought 40 acres from me. They had the money or ability to get loans to do the subdivision, hire the surveyors, the soil scientists, build the roads in, blah, blah, blah. So they did all of that, and then they sold the lots. And that's where it stands now. They have 1 more lot to sell. So the house. It was in pretty bad shape. I'll show you some pictures on the tour. That's part of the tour. Required lots of work. The last great land deal I was talking about meant basically that we bought 100 acres, and with no additional cost for the house, kind of, we paid less than $1,000 an acre. And even for that time, that was low. And it had a house standing on it, and 7 sheds. One of them being the log cabin, if you notice that, and one of them another log shed that has already fallen. So at any rate, it had infrastructure. It had a well. It had septic. It had the road.
Power to it.
Had power. It had all of that. And a house, even though it was leaky, but it was structurally sound. You can feel that it was structurally sound. I haven't done anything structurally to the foundation or anything.
Yeah, if any of you walk through our house to the bathroom and knows how much that little house that we live in bounces, this is completely different.
I was amazed that
Aaron walks.
I was
Well, I
amazed
mean,
that
hamster
the
walks.
hamster runs through there and you can, I was like,
It does. It's his
hamster.
So at any rate, it's been a lot of work on the house. It still needs a lot of work, and over the 30 years, it's been a lifetime project for me, and I'm kind of tired of it. I have been looking for folks, women, my ideal was to buy into the land and house with me, because I don't want to leave. There's just no way I will leave this place, but I can't handle it. I can't. I'm in my 70s, officially 71.
It was Lynn's birthday just a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
International Women's Day is my birthday.
Yes.
Don't forget.
What kind of cookies you like?
So, I can't keep up with the house, I can't keep up with the land, and even though there are other women who live here and other women who own land who are not here yet, most of it falls on me taking care of the land, the land that does not belong to me. Although lately, somebody else has been taking on the lead. But I can't do it, and I'm, to be perfectly honest, I'm tired of it and I don't want to do it. So I've been looking for women who wanted this situation, wanted to live in an old house that they needed to work on, wanted a lifetime project, wanted to live, wanted to live in the country, away from everything, but in a community. And I've also I don't have children, I don't have any siblings, I don't have any logical, legal, whatever you call them, heirs. And those nieces and nephews I don't want them to own my land, and they don't want it, and they're far better off than I am anyway. So I wanted to find lesbians who wanted this situation but would otherwise not be able to live here and to be an heir. And look who I found.
And I brought her Aaron.
How did you find her?
I'm the third wheel. So it was festival week. I was super sad. And I had picked up a couple of issues of Sinister Wisdom at Women Rights That Spring, and I hadn't read them. And so I had one of them was this issue on land dikes of the Southeast, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and read this because this will make me feel close to our people. I'll be less sad. And I sat down, drank a cup of tea, and started reading it. And so I'm reading these different women's situations, and this one is like, well, we have a common agreement that we're going to have no septic systems on the land, and this one is, we do collective decision making, and we just sort of stay in the meeting however long it takes to work it out. And I'm reading each of these and going, no, not for me. And then I flipped to this one, and this woman is basically relating the story that Lynn just told us.
Yeah, you don't need
But
to
I
read
was
it now.
I was skimming, and then I was like, well, that would be perfect for us. I wonder where that is. And I paged back to the beginning of it, and in the first paragraph it says something. When I moved to Durham, North Carolina, and I basically fell out right there in the middle of the house, there was some contact information in the back, and in 5 minutes, I think I texted Erin like 3 times, called and left her a voicemail, because she was, of course, working like a crazy person.
Up on a scaffolding,
right?
and I'm like,
And I emailed all of the email contact things in the back of the thing. I friended Lynn and the farm on Facebook, and then I spent like 12 hours going, somebody, write me back. Now I know that Lynn checks her email first thing in the morning.
And only
Right?
once a day.
Yeah, and only once a day, right? So she got back to us and invited us to come out, and we came out and started looking at land. We came out and started looking at land and what I like to call dating the farm. So we kept coming out and meeting the women and having the potlucks and seeing the land, and walking around and talking about things. Aaron fixed some shit, you know. And Lynn kept sort of mentioning, or maybe you could buy my house, and we mostly thought she was kidding.
And they said they wanted to build their own house from
Yes.
the ground up,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
thought that's part of their dream.
Well,
They
we
wanna build
really
their own
thought
house.
that
They
that
don't
was
want an old family.
we really thought that was the only way we were ever going to be able to have our own place, right? And then finally we were like, okay, we're going to sit her down and say, are you serious about that? And so then we had the conversation where Lynn sort of related the stuff about where she was at with the house and situation, and then we all sort of sat in our own skin, freaking out a little bit, and said, let's come back in 2 weeks and see whether this really still seems like a good idea. And we went back home and sort of sat with it for a little while, and Lynn checked in with her people and community and sat with it herself for a while, and then we came back 2 weeks later and decided to do it. And so here we all are.
Did you
Here
find
we
the
are.
land?
We didn't tell you that we came with a pack, right?
In a really big way.
Yeah.
This is what a mere sample.
We're just a sampling solo.
Yeah. There's more of
Yeah,
us.
but that was
Straight
that,
along the
right?
way.
But that was
Some
part
of
of
you
our
do.
dream too. Is we wanted to, like, the idea of continuing to have this be a place for women to come is sort of already how we live our life in our tiny little house, which last night had, I don't know, 9 people sleeping in it, right? And so it was a great fit for us, and thank God Aaron's good at fixing things, and I can figure anything out. So our like research and development team kind of
And feed us.
does pretty well.
And she can organize a team.
Plus, I fucking found it.
Peed on it. Yeah.
And I peed on it, and I peed on it. Okay, so like, so the second time, so we came out that first time, and then Aaron and I had talked, and we were like, we were going to figure out a way to be there in some way or another, right? So the second time I came out, you were having a potluck, and I brought Gila and Catherine out here, and I brought a jar of land water and a fern, and I went out walking by myself for a little bit, and with Gila and Catherine, and I peed on the land, and I crumbled the fern, and I poured the land water down, and it was like, this is going to be the place where we live.
I didn't know that.
And here we are. So, shall we tour?
With the sun just came out, no more snow?
Yeah.
Well,